they did announce that we're going to be getting a season 2. So that's already in the bag, and I'm excited about that. So yeah.
I love that for these actors. I truly do. I truly do. Love that for them.
It's poetry. It's very poetic, I must say. Have you seen this clip? So I was on the socials, Instagram specifically, and I was looking up the cast of City of God, and I was like, just digging and trying to find stuff, and I came across this clip of Thiago Martins singing. Apparently he's a whole music performer.
Eu sempre fui assim mesmo, firmeza total e pureza no coração. Eu sempre fui assim mesmo, parceiro fiel que não deixa na mão.
Yes, Bradock, listen, he is giving the range. I too stumbled across that clip because I too have been looking up the stars of City of God on socials, and yeah, he is giving range. I love it. What a star.
I must say, I'm blown away. There's so much talent in this cast and so many surprises, specifically for us because we are entering this not fully aware of everyone, and what they've been up to since the original film and everything leading up to this point. But because we are now being introduced to them, we're finding stuff and it's new to us. I'm having a good time.
I love it. I want more of it, actually.
I'm having a good time.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Speaking of Bradock, Thiago Martins playing Bradock, episode 2, all the pretty stuff is out the door, T.
Yeah.
All the parties, all the feathers, all the sunshine, the beaches, it's all out.
Last week when we talked about this, I told you I wanted that grit and I was missing the grit. Baby, they brought it back this episode. I said, "Ooh, shut me up. Go on and shut me up, y'all."
Hey, they didn't waste any time getting to the mess. So what we see Bradock, he is, the news gets around because remember we ended with what's her name, Jerusa, offing the young man, right? Not my fave. And once Jerusa did that, word got back to Curio that this happened. Not only did word get back to Curio, they told exactly who did what to who when.
As we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
He knew it was going to happen.
She knew. Yeah,
they all knew. Yeah.
And so because this has gotten around, obviously it's up and it's stuck, right? It's time to, go after Bradock and make him answer for what he did, okay? Because he's tripping, obviously.
Yeah.
And so what Bradock does is we finally learn about where the money went, because remember Jerusa had that money that she went to go get weapons from some random guy or whatever.
Yeah.
We figure out where it goes because Bradock goes and meets up with Osimar. That's his name. And Osimar is he's a rival gang leader, nemesis to Curio is what they say. And Bradock exploits the fact that, they are arch enemies. And he goes and he supplies Osimar with military grade weapons. And so now we know where the money went to.
Yeah.
But then at one point he was giving them the weapons, they would name and stuff. And now he was like, "Oh yeah, we got some grenades." So I was like, "Wait a minute." Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. Okay.
Yo, they was doing I said grenades.
Yeah. Yes.
So as a result, the war breaks out. Here's what was interesting to me is that in the City of God, shootouts and wars is what they say happen so much so that there's a system in place for it.
Atenção comunidade, por motivo de força maior, todo o comércio deve ficar fechado. O morador deve ficar na rua só até às 19 horas. Depois disso, ninguém na rua.
Yes, there is. It's kind of like they put out the hootie hoo and let people know what time it is, and no one asks questions. Everybody's like, okay, it's time to go in the house, cut the lights off, and sit down somewhere because it's going down in the street.
Oh my gosh, that was wild to me.
Yeah.
But I could
kind of appreciate that because it's
I was like,
Yeah, they separate civilians from, the people who are involved in the war. So I can appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I was like, okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
They give you a heads up. It ain't just like somebody surprising everybody, and But what's also interesting is the depth of everything. So you have all these rival gang leaders, and they all believe that they are protecting their area or protecting the citizens, the people, because obviously the government isn't really caring about these people in these slums, And so they all legitimately, from their point of view, feel like they're doing what's best for their people. And this is where, what causes clashes. So when that shootout happens, I was thinking two things. The first thing is this, Tierra, and you might be, I don't know if you'd be surprised, but the first thing was I was like, wow, I haven't heard a shootout in so long.
Wait, what? You mean like on TV or in real life?
In real life.
I've never heard a shootout, so I can't.
Yeah,
relate.
I was relating. Now,
Okay.
when I was growing up, they didn't have this kind of artillery available, but it used to go down. It was a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. You kind
This
of.
explains a lot about you. Okay.
Oh, hush, please. So it sounded like it reminded me of.
It was nostalgic for you.
Yeah. But there's a moment that happens when Osimar, who has teamed up with Bradock, there's a moment that happens where they run up on Curio's crew.
Yeah.
And they get pretty close to Curio, right? They know where he's at. They come after him. Mm-hmm. First of all, Curio was stressing me out. He kept looking out the window where the shootout was happening. I was like, bruh, please.
What are you doing?
Yo, I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
But there's a scene and was done so well because, again, Thiago Martins was giving us range.
Range, honey.
From episode start all the way through. And there's a moment where he pulls out the scope and he spots Curio in the window because why are you in the window? And he has a clear shot, okay? And in that moment, we cut back to these flashbacks, these moments of him being younger and Curio treating him as family, which is what we had a discussion about before, right?
Yep.
And because he's thinking about these things as this is happening, he second guesses or he doesn't take the shot that he could have, which was a clear headshot, and he shoots him in the shoulder.
Yep.
Now, if you notice when he did that, Tierra, and I want to know if you caught this too, to everybody that was out there shooting out and, going crazy, he was just like, oh, I hit him. I got him. Like, because they're none the wiser. Oh,
they don't have a clue.
They just, he's been hit. But really, he chose to shoot him where he shot him.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100% caught that. I was like, oh, okay, because he still has heart. It showed us that Bradock has heart and he still has a soft spot for Curio because, it seems like that's who raised him. That was his OG. So, but he couldn't let that be known, to the soldiers. So he had to,
this is what I'm going to say.
Oh, I shot him thing. So, yeah. I thought that was a dope scene.
Wait till Jerusa finds out. I don't know if you noticed this, but he doesn't call Jerusa. He calls her crazy.
Crazy. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so.
And she just answers to it.
And she do. I'm like, you know what? We love a self-aware queen. We do. So
they're giving us some depth there. They're giving us conflict. I foresee. This is just me predicting. I foresee there being a issue that comes up with Jerusa and Bradock, in-house. I think that's the only way they will fall off because at this point, since they took the steps that they did, they pretty much reclaimed the territory or the area that Bradock wanted Curio to just give to him. Mm-hmm. So Bradock's kind of got a leg up. Fast forward. We start getting reports about this because, again, everybody's inside, hunkered down. sitting in place, getting right with the Lord.
Not getting right with the Lord.
And we start getting reports about this on the TV and so on. Mm-hmm. And we get introduced to a reporter from Spain, Ligia.
Yeah.
And she comes in. She's pretty much, on a mission, blinders on, knows what she's going for. And she gets teamed up with Stringy pretty straightforward. I didn't even know this episode also revealed to me that Stringy also works in like journalism and stuff to some degree, because even though he's campaigning, as a politician, he's not yet, been elected and stuff.
Right.
So we learned what he does for a living and stuff like this. And yeah, she wants to connect with him and also connect with Wilson. Buscape.
Every time they said Wilson, I thought about you because I was like, yo, please.
You mean Buscape?
That was just Wilson nonsense.
Okay, Buscape.
Yeah.
So she connects with them, and her whole mission is to, I think there's something more going on, I will say. But what she says is that she's there to investigate corruption in the city of God, right? She wants to sort of see what's going on for what, I don't know, why you all the way from Spain over here in the favelas. She says she comes to set up an NGO. Anybody who knows about NGOs is they're, what's the best way to describe them? It's like a charity. They offer different, resources and services to underserved areas and communities, stuff like this. So that's her cover, is that she wants to set up a NGO in the city of God for whatever reason. I don't trust it. There's something that is, but what did you think about Ligia when she was
something about her makes my spidey senses tingle. And I'm not sure what it is yet. I can't put my finger on it yet, but I'm telling you now, she won't be in season 2. She's not made it.
You think she's gonna get? Well, she is putting herself out there a bit heavily because she ends up going to meet this guy, Turo.
Yeah.
Turo is another gang leader, if you will. He's running the west side of Rio. And one thing that stood out about Turo is that he made it a point that he was like, yo, all that stuff that's going on over there, Curio, Osimar, all them doing those shootouts and stuff, it doesn't bleed into here. It doesn't come over here. Don't y'all come over here with that, right? So he's pretty much got his area under control. And Ligia ends up finding out who he is, goes to meet him in person, and she's using the fact that he was attracted to her to get ahead, right? But if you notice, she also is a little scary too, because he was gonna kiss her hand,
Yeah.
and she was like,
Yeah, she's a little scary because I think she's gonna bite off more than she could chew, and I think that she's trying to flex and be like, oh, I can do this. I can do this on my own. But I feel like she knows this is a little much for her. I also picked up that Wilson was a little sweet on her as well. I don't know if you caught that, but there was a scene where,
what do you mean?
There is a scene where he offered to, it was Stringy, Ligia, and Wilson, and they're sitting there having beers, and he offered to go in the newspaper archives on her behalf. Yeah. And she goes, oh, for me, you do that? And he's kind of like, yeah. And he was like a little sweet on her. And I don't know if you remember, like, from the movies, he was sweet on the one girl at the beach. He was taking their photos. I can't think of her name. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, she's might be using that to her advantage. We'll see. But I feel like she's going to get into some mess that she can't get out of. And I don't see her in season 2. Mark my words.
Yeah, because she's going about it in a bit of a precarious, dangerous way. Yeah. Another person that I was surprised to find out more about was Delano. Yeah. In my mind, I felt like Delano was in the age group with Stringy and them, but then also I shouldn't have, because isn't he Cynthia's kid?
He's her son, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why I kind of had that in my mind, but we learned that he is he's an officer.
Yeah.
And this causes great conflict, and we also learned that he's got a temper on him, as you would say. I know you would say that. And I was surprised because I remember when I first mentioned, I was like, I think there's going to be an issue where because he's a community leader, he wants things to be right for people, which it still stands. That there was going to be some sort of clash with him and Stringy, right? Oh
Yes.
no, they swerved us completely.
Yeah.
So he actually has the hots,
Lord. Not the hots.
the
Ooh.
hots for Leka,
Child.
Buscape's daughter,
MC Leka.
who MC Leka, and Leka, she got them all, don't she?
Don't she? Because listen, Mama is doing the most. Mama is letting you know what it is and what it ain't. And that seems to be working for her.
Hey, Leka's doing it up. And
Yes, she is.
speaking of Leka, so we got more about Delano, but speaking of Leka, we finally get a bit more backstory as far as her and Wilson,
Yeah.
Wilson's
Cidade.
relationship
Cidade.
goes.
Eu arrisco minha vida todo mês pra poder mandar dinheiro pra vocês aqui.
Esse dinheiro você consegue explorando a desgraça da galera daqui. Sabe o que tu virou, Buscape? Virou um açougueiro. Açougueiro que vende carne preta. Os branquinhos ligam a TV enquanto eles tomam um todinho, olhando a gente sofrer, pensando, nossa, que sorte eu tenho de ter a minha vida.
Chega!
And I must say, when she finally voiced her concerns for what her dad was doing, it started to make sense. I gave her some. I was like, okay, I see your point. Because you got to think, she's from a younger generation.
Yep.
She's going to be thinking a bit differently. And she's going to, feel some kind of way about what's happening and what her dad does for a living.
Correct.
And she pretty much laid it all out right there. Like,
She did.
yo, this is why. But based on what she said, what I gathered is, number one, her mother is around somewhere. She spoke of her present tense, right?
Yes, she did.
And then number two, at some point she was either with her mother or with her father, whichever, and she decided, or she ended up at her grandmother's place. And I was right in my thinking that Buscape Wilson, please, he doesn't live in the city of God. He just works there now, which makes it a bit more exploitative. But what I like that they did, and you can let me know what you think here before we wrap up. What I like that they did was that her voicing that concern, we finally see a rift as far as Buscape Wilson, please, his own. We finally see a rift with his own conscience, right? And we see him go out into the field because there's these shootouts with Bradock and Curio and stuff are going on. And he goes to capture footage as he normally does. But what he tries to do is he tries his best to change the narrative, right?
Yeah.
And there's a line that he says where he's like, I try to avoid death as far as, capturing it and sharing it around and stuff like this, but it seems to find me. So he ends up capturing a photo of a young man that he previously captured a photo of, which was also great storytelling here. So he had a photo of this kid alive and well and happy at a music class. And then he captured a photo of him getting caught in the crossfires of the war that was happening.
Yeah.
And he attempted to go to the newspaper and say, hey, look, here's some photos. This is what I think. This is what I recommend because it will, come off this way. And the people are like, look, if it bleeds, it leads. We don't care about this thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then there was a thing where Stringy confronts him, and I think this is where you were saying that three of them were together, Stringy, Ligia, and Wilson. He says to him, yeah, you went to them with the photos, but you also shot that photo.
Yeah.
Like you could have left it out, but you still took it to them.
Yeah.
So we start to get some layering there that we didn't have before. But what did you think about that whole thing with Leka finally voicing her concerns and then Buscape Wilson having that conflict?
Yeah, it's funny because when she was saying that, I was like immediately transported back to my thoughts on the first episode. The opening scene where he talks about how he's been doing this career as a photographer and he's been shooting these images for almost 20 years at this point. He's been able to, build a career doing that. And my first thought was like, so you've been shooting this like trauma porn for all these years, and this is like this is what you do.
Yeah.
So cut to her saying that in this episode, I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like we are addressing that. And that's something that you and I talk about a lot on this is when there's like, art or, things that we're watching, shows and movies. A lot of times we're looking at Black trauma and it's like, how much of this can we take?
Yeah.
And so I think we are going to see a point where Wilson is going to have to come to a crossroads and decide if he wants to continue with this trauma porn or if he wants to do something else. So I think it's going to get interesting, but I appreciate MC Leka for bringing that to light.
yes. And then them also showing us her getting close to Delano and her kind of like they gave her more to work with here because she's also going to be having an issue. I know old boy wants Curio's son. I know he's going to be like,
Oh yeah.
And then finally, before we close, because I'd be remiss to say this.
Come on, remiss. Yeah.
Poor Berenice. Poor Berenice. Oh, I felt so bad. Oh my gosh. First of all, my boo.
Yes, your boo. Love interest. Yes.
She did her thing. Oh my gosh. So Roberta Rodrigues, she is trying to give us more of this conflict with Berenice. And I think she pulled it off really well. Mm-hmm. So Berenice is obviously moved on since she was a young girl, of course. And she's dating a guy now who, what's the guy's name?
PQD.
Yeah.
PQD.
His name is Clayton, but everybody calls him PQD. And he is former military. He, has gotten all the medals and he's doing his thing. He knows his stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so since he's retired military, he has gotten with Berenice at some point. He's now a barber, sort of a calm life for someone who has seen a whole lot, right?
Yeah.
And he is conflicted because he's with someone, Berenice, who does not want to be involved with the wars and the, criminals, the gang leaders, all these people that, the thugs, as she said, that are just running around doing anyhow in the city of God. And she really tries her best to avoid it. And so when she learns that her guy wants to do his part, right? Because he feels like he's standing by, even though he has these this knowledge and these abilities to be effective. The only issue is that he would have to join up with who he believes would make life better for them in the city of God, and that is Curio.
Berê. Não é você que diz sempre que a gente precisa de lutar pela nossa comunidade, Berê? Esse é meu jeito de lutar.
I felt so bad for Berenice, though. I did. I was like, yo, it's like this place, this lifestyle, this thing just can't get off her back as much as she's trying to avoid it and do something different. What did you think, though, about that relationship and also the new character that we got introduced to?
Yeah, I'm glad that Berenice is in a relationship and has found somebody. It's seemingly that they were on the same page, wanting to do, be the good guys and to make change and live differently. But it seems like, he's going to be backsliding a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unravels. Yeah, maybe she'll find a new boo. We'll see. Maybe it'll be you. We'll see.
Oh, well.
Well.
No, but I think they, again, set us up really well. I appreciated that in this episode we did get some Jerusa, but we got a little less this time because other stuff was going on. So I appreciate that because I was yeah, she was getting on my last a little bit.
Just you wait. We're gonna see a whole lot more.
She's definitely not going anywhere. I'm telling you, when she finds out that Bradock punked out, she gonna flip. She gonna flip.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of wild cards in this show. There's a lot of wild cards, like people who can just erupt at any moment. And they brought us even more with this episode. All in all, I'm going to rate this episode. I'm still up there. To you. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself. This is Angela Bassett for me this week. What about you?
Yeah, I'm keeping my rating the same, Queen Latifah as well. I'm also enjoying myself. I'm having a ball. I asked for the grit. They brought that this episode. So yeah, I'm all in. I'm interested in these characters and the storyline. There are a lot of characters. Let's be clear. It's a lot of people to keep up with.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm having a good time. So yeah.
Any
and I'm rooting for Bradock.
I was gonna say, is there any character or any storyline that you're enjoying more than the others so far?
Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm rooting for Bradock. He's got a good heart.
He's got a good heart, but he
Maybe it's because I saw him singing. If I didn't say, maybe that's why he was stopping me.
We have to separate the characters from the actors, Tiara.
You're right. You are correct. But as for today, the answer is Bradock. What about you?
Oh gosh, for me, I'm just interested. I'm interested in all the storylines so far. I will say there's not one more than the other, but I am intrigued by Buscape Wilson's, internal conflict, because it is like the common thread throughout the entirety of this universe, right? Mm-hmm. Is what he does for a living and what he's passionate about. And now it's in a place where it's like, okay, you really have to make a decision, because what you're doing is impacting the people, how people are perceived, both politically, personally, like it's affecting everyone. Yeah. And you would think like, oh, he's just a photographer, he's just capturing stuff, whatever. But really, because we saw the politicians, using his imagery to push their narrative and what they want to get done, to say, hey, yeah, we need the police to go ahead and, take those tanks down at the city of God and shut that down, right?
Yep.
And we know that's never a good thing. So I just love what they're doing here. I'm excited. If you've seen this episode and you want to discuss, go ahead and leave a comment on the YouTube video here, and let's have a conversation. What do you think about these current storylines? We're 2 episodes in. And oh, by the way, before we go, they did announce that we're going to be getting a season 2. So that's already in the bag, and I'm excited about that. So yeah.
I love that for these actors. I truly do. I truly do. Love that for them.
It's poetry. It's very poetic, I must say. So yeah, let us know what you think, and me and Tiara will be here to chat with you. And yeah, let's roll into the next week. I'm ready already. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm all in. Count me in.
Peace out, y'all.